My fiancé introduced me to his extended family as the future stay-at-home wife who's lucky I'm willing to take care of her. What he didn't know was that I had screenshots of every single bill I'd paid for the last 3 years. I showed them to his family at our rehearsal dinner. Before I start, if you like long Reddit-style relationship stories, cheating, family drama, and nuclear but legal revenge, make sure you're subscribed and hit like. It helps small channels like ours reach that first 1,000 subs. Alright, here's how my engagement exploded in one night. I'm 29F, my now ex-fiancé Liam is 31M. We met at work. I'm an analyst for a logistics company, he's a sales manager. When we first started dating, he seemed incredibly supportive of my career. He loved bragging about how my girlfriend's the smart one, she's the numbers person, and he'd show people the dashboards I built like they were art. It was cute at first. We moved in together after a year. That's when the little comments started. It must be nice not to have to travel for work like I do. Your job is probably easier than mine. I mean, you don't have quotas on your head. I brushed it off as stress. Sales is a roller coaster, I get it. But I noticed something. Whenever he had a bad month, the jokes about who really worked harder got sharper. Financially, though, I thought we were a team. We split rent 50-50. I covered groceries and utilities because I made a bit more, and he handled his car payment and some of the furniture we bought. It felt fair enough. Fast forward to year 3. We got engaged. He proposed on a weekend trip, very Instagram-friendly. Sunset, fairy lights, the whole package. I said yes because at the time, I truly believed we were good together. We started planning a wedding that was a little bigger than I'd hoped, but his parents insisted on inviting half their church and every distant cousin. Early in the engagement, he started talking about after the wedding. "You won't have to kill yourself at that job when we're married," he'd say. "You know I want to be the provider. You could focus on the home, maybe kids sooner rather than later." I'd smile and answer the same way every time. "I like my job, Liam. I worked hard to get here. I'm not quitting because we got married." He'd pout, then laugh like I just said something adorable. "We'll talk about it later. You'll see how you feel when the time comes." That phrase, "when the time comes," became his favorite way to dismiss my boundaries. Meanwhile, reality looked nothing like his provider fantasy. My company did well. I got a raise and a yearly bonus. His sales numbers, on the other hand, were unstable. Some months he crushed it, others he barely scraped by. And when those bad months hit, guess whose wallet kept the lights on? Mine. I paid a few rents just this once. I covered his credit card, bridge payments more than once. I picked up all the wedding deposits because my commission check is late, babe. I'll pay you back next month. I kept track of it all at first, like a nerdy little spreadsheet dragon. Then I stopped opening the file because it depressed me. I told myself, we're going to be married. What's mine is his, right? Still, unease grew. The turning point came during an argument about dishes, of all things. I'd just gotten home from a 10-hour day and a miserable commute. The sink was full. I sighed and started loading the dishwasher. Liam was on the couch, controller in hand, headset on, yelling at his friends online. When his match ended, he wandered into the kitchen and said, "You know, you should get used to doing this. Once we have kids, you won't be working like this anyway." I froze. I've said this 100 times. I'm not planning to be a stay-at-home anything. He rolled his eyes. "Don't be dramatic, Ava. It's not like I'm saying you'll be barefoot and pregnant. I just don't want my wife out there grinding in some corporate job when I can provide. My mom thinks." I cut him off. "Your mom doesn't get a vote in my career." He got defensive immediately. "You're being disrespectful. She was a stay-at-home mom and she raised 3 kids. That's real work. Why are you acting like working from home is being a servant?" "I'm not," I said. "I'm saying I get to choose, not you, not her." He stomped back to the living room, mumbling something about modern women, and no one appreciates what men do anymore. I should have paid closer attention to that moment. Instead, I told myself he was just stressed and we'd talk about it in therapy before the wedding. We did a few premarital sessions that were fine, but he was on best behavior there. Then we had an engagement party with his extended family. That's where I got my first real glimpse of the narrative he'd been building about me. His uncle asked, "So Ava, how long are you gonna keep working after the wedding?" I laughed thinking he was joking. Until I retire, I like my job." The uncle looked genuinely surprised. "Oh, Liam said you were excited to be a homemaker." I stared at him. I said I was excited to have a home with him, not to quit my job. Later that night, I asked Liam about it. "Why is your uncle under the impression I'm quitting work?" He shrugged. "I might have mentioned that's the plan. I mean, everyone just assumes. My family's traditional. They don't get the whole two-career thing. And instead of correcting them, you just let them believe a lie. It's not a lie, it's just the future. Once we have kids, you'll change your mind anyway." We fought hard. I went to bed angry. He slept on the couch. The next morning, he apologized in that half-hearted way that isn't really an apology. "I'm sorry you felt like I misrepresented you," he said. "I'll be more careful about how I phrase things." Not I lied, just I phrased it wrong. I forgave him, but a piece of trust chipped off. Wedding planning intensified. His mom, Sarah, inserted herself into every decision. Flowers, seating, her dress, my dress. One afternoon, while we were tasting cakes, she dropped this bomb. "I can't wait to help you with the babies when you're home with them," she said brightly. "You'll have your hands full while Liam's out working, but it's such a blessing to be able to focus on the home, trust me. I always told Liam he needed a wife like that." I set my fork down. "Sarah, I'm not planning to quit my job," I said gently but firmly. "We might reevaluate when kids come someday, but right now I'm a full-time analyst. Liam knows that." She gave me a tight smile. "Oh, sweetheart, men say lots of things before the wedding. Once he really settles into his career, you won't have to worry about working. He's already told the family he'll be bringing in enough for both of you." My stomach twisted. "He told them that?" I asked. She nodded. "Of course, it's what a man does, and you're such a sweet girl, I know you'll be grateful." I went home and opened that spreadsheet I'd been avoiding. Rent, extra utilities, vacation flights, wedding deposits, his credit card payments, just this once. The time I paid off his overdraft fee so his account wouldn't get dinged. Over 3 years, I had paid roughly 70% of our combined living expenses. The provider of this relationship was me. I took screenshots of the spreadsheet. Then I pulled bank statements and took pictures of those too. I even dug out the Venmo history where I'd labeled transfers like "your half of rent again" as a joke. It wasn't funny anymore. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this evidence yet, but I knew I needed it. The final straw came at our rehearsal dinner, 2 nights before the wedding. We'd booked a private room in a restaurant. My parents, his parents, siblings, some close friends. Liam had been drinking, working the room like a politician, hugging everyone, clapping people on the back. It was the first time in weeks he seemed relaxed. The best man gave a toast. My maid of honor said something sweet. Then Liam stood up, glass in hand, and decided to give a speech he clearly hadn't rehearsed. "I just want to thank everyone for being here," he said. "I'm really excited to marry Ava. She's beautiful, she's kind, and she's gonna make an amazing wife and mom." Everyone awed. And he continued, "I'm proud to be able to take care of her so she doesn't have to worry about the whole career grind forever. A man should provide, you know. My dad did it for my mom, and I'm gonna do it for my future stay-at-home wife." He put his arm around my shoulders as he said it. People clapped. In that moment, I heard a thud inside my head like a door slamming. He hadn't just told one uncle. He had told the whole family, in public, at our rehearsal dinner. I gently removed his arm, stood up, and took the microphone from him. "Thanks, Liam," I said. "That was interesting." Everyone laughed, thinking I was being playful. I looked around the room. My parents looked confused. His parents wore smug little smiles. His mom actually mouthed "see" at me. My hands were shaking, but my voice came out steady. "I've heard Liam tell a lot of people how he's going to provide for me," I said. "How I won't have to work, how I'm so lucky he's taking on all the responsibility. I just want to clarify a few things since we're all family here." Liam shifted uneasily beside me. "Ava, maybe we can." "No," I said, still smiling for the crowd. "We're being honest tonight. That's what marriage is about, right? Honesty." I pulled my phone out of my dress pocket. I'd tucked it there out of habit. I'm the kind of person who feels naked without their phone. I opened my photos and tapped the first screenshot. "For the past 3 years," I said, "while Liam has been telling you all that he'll be the sole provider, I've been paying about 70% of our living expenses. Rent, utilities, groceries, deposits for this wedding, even some of Liam's credit card bills. I'm not saying this to embarrass him. I'm saying it because I'm tired of being erased from my own life." A murmur rose at the tables. I held the phone up so his parents could see the spreadsheet. "Here's the breakdown. Blue as me, red as Liam. As you can see, I'm very blue." His father frowned. "That can't be right." "It is," I said. "Here are the bank statements." I swiped. "This one is the month Liam told his mom he'd covered everything while I was saving up for the wedding. You'll notice the rent came out of my account. So did electricity, Wi-Fi, and half the furniture." Liam grabbed my wrist, hissing, "What are you doing?" I pulled away. "You're embarrassed?" I asked quietly enough that only he and the people closest could hear. "Imagine how I felt when your uncle told me how excited he was that I'd be a homemaker once you took care of me." Out loud, I continued, "I don't mind contributing. I actually like contributing. I take pride in my work. What I mind is being used as a prop in a story where Liam is the noble provider, and I'm the little wife waiting to be rescued from a job I love." His mom sputtered, "Ava, that's not what he meant." "It is exactly what he meant," I said, "because he's been saying it for months. I told him multiple times that I'm not planning to quit my job. He kept telling people the opposite. That's not a misunderstanding. That's lying." The room went quiet. You could hear the restaurant's background music from the other side of the wall. Liam tried to laugh it off. "Babe, come on, you're making a scene. I was just speaking symbolically. Everyone knows you work hard. I'm just saying I want to give you options." "An option implies a choice," I said. "You never gave me one in your story. You just decided and everyone else believed you, including your mother, who told me I'd come around once you were making enough money for both of us." My dad, who had been quietly observing all of this, spoke up. "So let me get this straight," he said, voice calm but icy. "My daughter has been paying most of the bills, and you've been taking credit as the future provider while planning for her to give up the career she built." Liam opened his mouth, closed it, then started again. I just wanted to follow the example my parents set," he said. "My dad provided, my mom stayed home. It worked out great." Sarah jumped in. "That's right. A traditional marriage has worked for generations." My mom looked at her with a polite but lethal expression. "With respect, Sarah, I stayed home by choice. My husband never once told people I'd be quitting my job before I even decided, and he certainly didn't brag about providing while I was funding our life." Liam's best man shifted uncomfortably. A couple of his cousins suddenly found their phones fascinating. I took a deep breath. "I could maybe get past the fantasy," I said. "We could talk about it, fight about it, bring it to therapy. What I can't get past is the lying. The way you present yourself to your family as some kind of savior while quietly letting me carry the load, then planning our future on assumptions you never cared to verify with me." I set the microphone down on the table. "So here's what I've decided," I said. "I won't be marrying a man who builds a public image on pretending to be something he's not at my expense. The wedding is off." Gasps, chairs scraped. Someone dropped a fork. Liam grabbed my arm again. "You can't be serious," he said, voice cracking. "Over this, you're going to humiliate me in front of everyone." "You humiliated yourself," I said quietly. "I just stopped covering for you." His father stood up. "Son, did you really tell people you'd be supporting her while she paid most of the bills?" Liam looked trapped, like a kid caught stealing. "I was going to step up after the wedding," he muttered. "It was just temporary." "That's not an answer," his father said. Sarah glared at me. "You're throwing away a good man because your pride is hurt," she snapped. I looked at her, suddenly very calm. "I'm refusing to legally bind myself to a man who lies about money and my future," I said. "Pride has nothing to do with it. Self-preservation does." I turned to my parents. "I'm so sorry about the deposits you helped with," I told them. "I'll pay you back as soon as I can." My dad shook his head. "We'd rather lose the money than lose you to a bad marriage," he said. "Let's go." I walked out of my own rehearsal dinner with my parents and bridal party flanking me like a protective wall. Liam shouted my name. I kept walking. That night, I moved back into my old room at my parents' house. I expected to cry nonstop, but mostly I felt relieved, like someone had taken a 50-pound backpack off my shoulders. The next day was chaos. Calls, texts, emails. His family alternated between begging me to just go through with it, we already paid for the venue, and blaming me for destroying Liam. Liam himself sent long messages about how he'd just been trying to honor his upbringing, how he'd change, how I'd made him look like a fool. I responded once. "You made yourself look like a fool by lying," I wrote. "I simply told the truth. I hope you'll use this to grow up. I won't be around to see it." We returned the wedding dress. The venue kept a big chunk of the money, but my parents refused my attempts to repay them immediately. "Consider it tuition," my mom said. "You just took an accelerated course in spotting red flags." In the weeks that followed, details trickled in. One of Liam's cousins, who'd always been friendly with me, told me privately that he'd been complaining for months about how embarrassing it was that his fiancé made more than him. He said people wouldn't respect him as a man if his wife was the main earner, she said. "I thought he was just venting, but yeah, I see it now." Another friend told me that Liam had floated the idea of me going part-time right after the honeymoon so I could get used to being home. He hadn't mentioned that plan to me, of course. Work became my sanctuary. When my boss heard I'd canceled the wedding, he surprised me by saying, "Good. You're one of the best analysts we have. I'd hate to lose you because some guy wants to play 1950s. 6 months later, I got promoted. I celebrated with my coworkers, then with my parents. On the way home that night, I drove past the restaurant where the rehearsal dinner had imploded. Instead of feeling sick, I felt grateful. I had dodged a bullet wrapped in a tuxedo. Liam occasionally tried to reach out, usually when he'd been drinking. The messages followed a predictable pattern. "You ruined my life. No one wants to date me now, thanks to you. I told people you were just emotional, that you'd come crawling back. Please, we can still fix this. I'll let you work if you really want to." That last line told me everything I needed to know. He still thought my career was something he could allow. I finally blocked him on everything. Recently, his cousin sent me a screenshot from Facebook. Liam had posted a photo with a new girlfriend, captioned, "Finally found a woman who believes in traditional roles." The girl looked about 22. In the comments, Sarah gushed, "So happy you found someone who appreciates a real man. I wish her luck, she'll need it." As for me, I'm living in a small apartment I chose and paid for myself. I still like coming home to a place where every piece of furniture, every bill, every decision is mine. And if I ever get serious with someone again, I'll be asking a lot more questions about how they talk about me when I'm not in the room. Because if a man wants to build his entire identity on being a provider, he should probably start by actually paying his own half of the rent. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, Tell me in the comments what you would have done at that rehearsal dinner, and subscribe to the channel for more long Reddit-style stories about relationships, red flags, and revenge.